Okay, so I'm here with Gary. Gary has completed my program. He's agreed to sit down and just have a chat and sort of go through, how it was and what happened. So, Gary, do you want to introduce yourself? Tell us what you do.
Yeah, my name's Gary Stanley. I'm director of a leak detection company. My job is very office based. It's Monday to Friday, 9 till 5. But we have a lot of functions, like business breakfasts, evening functions, lots of different things to attend. So my work wise can be very sporadic, but essentially it's a sedentary role. I am ex-military, so I have got like quite a fitness mindset, where I know I've got to do stuff. And then I suppose I left the military 5, 6 years ago, and it tailored off because of work and how work went. And I felt I needed to get back on track and get sorted out. And that's why I came to you, Chris.
Okay. What was life like before we started sort of working together?
It got to the stage where I'd very much got into a rut. And when I say I got into a rut, I was still doing fitness, so I kept thinking to myself, well, I'm doing exercise, so everything's all right. But I basically, God, it's over 2 years now, split up with my ex-wife. So weekends, if I didn't have my little lad, it was Friday night in the pub, Saturday night in the pub, Sunday dinner time in the pub. Friday night was fish and chip shop, just before I went to the pub. Saturday night was a takeaway, and Sunday was if I can be bothered to get anything. And then Monday to Thursday, I got to the stage where I were eating. Well, I thought, like I'm exercising in the morning, so I'll have granola for my breakfast with natural yogurt. I'll have a wrap for my lunch, so I'm not eating loads of bread. And then I'll have a normal tea. And then I'd sit there at night with a cup of tea, and I'd have like 5, 6 chocolate biscuits or whatever was in the cupboard. So I'd got into that rut where I was drinking at the weekend. Even when I had my little lad, I'd put him to bed, and I'd do at least a bottle of wine or 8 cans of lager. Not that I thought it was big and clever. It was just the way I was, and it was a case of, well, I'm watching TV, so I'll have a few drinks while I'm watching it. And I knew I was in a rut, and I knew I needed to get out of it, and I wanted to get out of it. But it was always a case of, well, this Friday I won't drink as much, and I did, and it was Saturday. Well, I'll make myself something to eat. So I'd make myself something to eat, go and have a skinful, and then think on the way home, well, I've not had a takeaway, so I can go and have one now. So I really was, and I could see it in myself, I could feel it in myself, and even though I was still doing, a fair level of fitness, the lifestyle was completely wrong for where I wanted to be, essentially.
Okay, so you just didn't feel right in yourself. It didn't.
Not at all.
Okay. How long had you been sort of stuck in that cycle?
God, I'd say I'd been doing it for probably a good 12 months, because I sold the old family home, moved into a new home, into an area where I didn't know anybody at all. So for me, it was a case of, right, well, if I go in the pub every other weekend, then I get to meet people. But essentially, it's awful to say, but I was like the sad, lonely old man that stood at the corner of the bar, just supping beers and watching what everybody else were doing. So yeah, I'd say at least 12 months I've been like that. But prior to that, while I was still in the old house, it was a case of, I'd still sit and drink at nights, on my own. And a lot of it was, certainly me diet wasn't very good at all, because I'd have takeaways whenever, and I can't be bothered cooking. I'll just get a takeaway, and I've got a takeaway, so I'll have a few beers with a takeaway. So yeah, my lifestyle, I'd say probably for the 2 years after, or for the 2 years when I'd split up, were pretty dire.
That was then. So now, if we fast forward to now, then you've obviously completed the program. It's been a few months since we sort of parted, as it were. What's life like now?
I cannot believe how much I have turned it around, and I'm not just saying this. Essentially, I can't remember if it were 86 or 87 kilos. I think before I come on, I got to 87, and then like the week that we initially started talking and saying that I was going to start the program, then I started thinking, right, I need to get into the mindset. So I think when I started it, I was 86.5 or something like that. So I had it in my head. If my initial aim was to get down to 80 kilos, and to sort my lifestyle out, and to be exercising for the right reason, and not exercising because my lifestyle was wrong, and I was trying to claw it back with the exercise. So initially I thought, right, 80 kilos. And then I started on the program, and we went through the food diary and everything. And he was giving me advice about what to do with my foods. And I started the intermittent fasting. And for me, the intermittent fasting, God, what a breakthrough that was. And I do it now as a routine, Monday to Friday when I'm at work. And you know, life is just, it's so much easier. It's like I used to have my breakfast, and again, like I said, it was granola and natural yogurt. So I thought, I'm eating quite a healthy breakfast. Come 10:30 in the morning, I'd be hungry. So it was a case of, right, well, I'll get a couple of chocolate biscuits out the biscuit tin and have it with my cup of tea. And then lunchtime would come, and I'd have my wrap, and I'd have a bag of crisps with it, and I think I still feel hungry. So I'd have a few more chocolate biscuits out of the biscuit tin. And then, like I say, at night, I was still doing that. I'm doing the intermittent fasting now. So I'm doing my exercise in the morning, and I have a 750 ml bottle of water. And this is, again, something that we discussed, that you introduced, because yes, I'd drink water while I was on the bike. As soon as I got off the bike, that were it. The only water I'd touch would be either mixed with alcohol or mixed with a tea bag and some milk. Never, drunk water. And now what I do, I have my 750 ml bottle while I'm on the bike. Then once I've finished, I have another one. I start drinking it at home, finish it off like by the time I get to work. I've cut out breakfast. I've changed my lunch. It's like now I'll either have pasta with chicken, and I put peppers in the sweet corn, beetroot, all that sort of stuff, or I'll have noodles and I'll prawns in, again, peppers, that sort of thing. And then I make myself like a fruit salad afterwards. It takes me twice as long to eat it, and I'm twice as full. And it's like now it's 2:15, and I had my lunch at 1 o'clock today, and I'm full, and I can still feel like I've had a good meal. And I'll go home tonight and I'll have my tea round about 7 o'clock. And again, from what we discussed with the food diary, like tea tonight's pasta. But my normal tea, like if I have a piece of steak, I don't bother with potatoes. I pile it up with veg. And basically what I do, I cut courgettes into slices, and it's almost like my courgettes and my chips.
Do you enjoy the way you eat?
Yes, I do, very much so. Yeah, and you know, it's the whole process of it. It's the prep of it, and everything, and that, where it used to be a case of like, well, chuck it in a pan and whatever comes out. Now it's like, especially with my lunches, I'm prepping it properly, and I'm prepping it at night. So I'm managing my time, thinking, right, this will get prepped. Whereas it used to be, get a wrap out, get a tub of the old like sandwich filler that were ladled full of mayonnaises and sauces, slap it on, maybe put a couple of slices of a cucumber on. So I'm thinking, well, there's salad on there, and that were it. And 20 minutes after I'd eaten my lunch, I'd be hungry again. And like I say now, so once I've had my tea, I've no need then for a pile of chocolate biscuits with my cup of tea, and that's me done for the evening. So I'm eating between 1 and, well, I'd normally give myself between 1 and 8, and then that's it. I don't eat anything else after that, but I don't need anything, and I'm enjoying what I'm eating. It's filling me up, and it's working.
It's lasted, hasn't it? Because like I said, we had a quick chat just before we started this sort of interview, but it's working, isn't it? You're still doing this sort of stuff.
Definitely, yeah.
You said your aim was 80. Where did you get to?
76. And since we've done it, I've dropped another kilo. I'm now at 75. However, it's getting on my nerves now, because so far I've bought 2 new suits. I've bought, I think, about 3 new pairs of jeans. So it needs to stop, because I'm not buying clothes all the time. And I must admit, when I got back down to 75, I thought, actually, when I kept dropping, because I got to that 80, and then the week after I thought, like, I were at 79, and I thought, well, actually, let's go for 78, and then you've got that between 78 and 80. But I weren't dieting, and I weren't cutting anything out, and I weren't, like trying, and I weren't hungry and thinking you can't do it because you've got to lose weight. And then a few weeks after that, I was like down to 77. I thought, right, well, let's look at 76 and keep it between 76 and 78. So since we've finished, I've been going along, and I've just sat around, between 76 and 77. And I know for a fact if I get to 77, the week after it'll be a case of I'll either gone back to 76 or I'll still be at 77. I won't go any higher. And I'm not doing anything where I think, well, cut that out this week or change that this week. I'm just sticking to what we went through and how we progressed to get me to a level where it's just I say it's an everyday routine. It's just my normal way of life now. I enjoy doing the fasting, and I preach fasting to everybody, intermittent fasting now, and I preach drinking loads of water. And I think people must think like, oh, here he is again, that mental bloke.
It's like,
but yeah, on the other hand, people also say like, God, you look like you're so much better than what you were 6 months ago. Like, you were getting fat, and a lot of people noticed, like on the golf course, particularly during the summer, it's a t-shirt and a pair of shorts, and people would say like, you've piled the weight on. And now it's it's, how have you done that? And I have, like, convinced a couple of people to start drinking and trying intermittent fasting. So like, if people are doing it, they're seeing that it's worked with me, and obviously want a piece of it.
And that's the thing, one size doesn't fit all, and we know that.
No.
Obviously what you were doing compared to some of the other guys, everyone's different, aren't they? But it is about finding what works for you and what fits. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but you still drink, not as much, but you still drink, you still go out for food, you still do these things, don't you? But you just
yeah. Well, it's like we said before this started. It was 2 weeks ago now, where I had 2 nights out. We had a business breakfast, and then we had our like a black tie ball on the Saturday night, and that was staying over at the hotel. Started drinking at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and then it were full English the following morning. And I thought, right, sort yourself out this week. And again, I didn't cut anything out. It was just a case of, right, make sure that I'm doing my intermittent fasting Monday to Friday. Make sure I get my exercise in. Make sure I get my water in. And I got on the scales on the Friday, and I was no different to what I always am. And yet I'd had a week where it was pretty much full on, and it was one of them weeks that you'd think I wouldn't normally want to do that because it was a lot. But it's just that a lot of things come around all at once. So, but now, like, I still drink. Well, I still drink every weekend. I don't drink as much. And to be fair, now that I've moved into my new house, I don't drink in that pub anymore. But I feel better for that as well. And it was getting out of that rut. It's like I've just said. I felt like I was the sad old man stood at the corner of the bar watching everybody else. I'm not like that. Although I'm not doing the pub anymore. The fact of the matter is, I feel better in myself, and I don't feel the need to have to go to the pub and stand at the corner of the bar. So, lifestyle's completely changed. It's, well, again, a lot of it is what we've put in place, and now I think about things.
And that's the thing, we never restricted, we never measured, weighed, calorie counted, any of that.
No, not a single one. Calorie was counted while we were doing it. No.
What would you, if someone is watching this, or someone in the office mentioned my name or something like that, someone on the golf course, and said, look, I'm thinking about doing some work with Chris, what would you say to them?
Get on it as soon as you can. And again, when we first started, I said to you about, I think I had 2 weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and then I was going on holiday for a week. And I said, and when I go on the holiday, it will be a case of, I'll be drinking every day. I won't be eating the best food because it's like canteen style sort of stuff. And then after that week, I think 2 weeks later, or 2 or 3 weeks later, I had a stag do in Benidorm to go on for a weekend. And you said, like, you you can't keep putting things off. Start it and manage it while you're on it. And I come back from the week's holiday, and I had put a little bit of weight on, but again, consciously, I thought, right, you need to, make sure that this works. It's a lifestyle change, and it's not like just a quick fix diet. And then the week after,
there'll never be a block that comes that's just clear, will there? There's always going to be
no,
something coming on, a
there's
birthday,
always something.
Christmas, Easter, a holiday. There's always something that's going to come along. And I suppose if you can manage that, that's better than sort of waiting, isn't it?
Yeah. And that's exactly it. It's just managing it. And it's one of the things that you said when we first started, don't change your life, and don't, cancel holidays and cancel things. Manage it and be aware of what it is that you're doing. And so, like I would say to anybody, start it now, because now is the only time to do it. If it's 2 weeks down the line after you've done your holiday, or after you've been on your weekend bender, well, get stuck into it now and manage that, because when you manage it, you're learning how to adjust your lifestyle anyway. And now it's like I had that week a couple of weeks ago where I had all these different events, and it was a case of, right, the following week, just make sure I'm on the ball with everything. And I were on the ball, and it proved it straight away. I didn't think, right, I'll exercise twice as much, or I'll exercise twice as hard, or I'll cut meals out. Nothing like that, but just make sure I'm on it and I'm doing it right. And the proof was in the pudding. The week after, got on the scales, no change. I'm exactly where I was, and where I like being now.
That's the thing. That's such a drastic difference, isn't it? 87 down to 75 where you are now.
75, yeah.
Like say, a couple of suit sizes at the very minimum. But for me, the important thing is the fact that this has lasted. It's that sustainability. It's lasted the test of time. It's gone through all these events. You're just in a different place, and you just seem happier in yourself. You just seem like you've got more energy, and just like things on the up.
Definitely, yeah. And like you say, happier. I feel so much better in myself. And it's probably one of them cliches, isn't it? Where you feel, because I feel better, it's giving me more self-confidence. And it's definitely true. I walk into meetings and I feel better. It's not like I'm walking in and thinking people are already judging me, because and don't get me wrong, 87 kilos, it's not massive. I mean, I'm only 5'7.5". That half, you've always got to get it in there. So I'm not a big guy, So 87 kilos, you could see it on me. And I always keep going back to, I stayed at, it was just after we'd started. I think it was a week or so after we'd started. And I don't know if you can remember, I was going up to my mates in Hartlepool, and I said, this will be a weekend where I drink a lot, because we're army mates, and essentially that's what you do. But on the Saturday night, we were sat in his living room, and I had a can in my hand, and he was sat next to me on the settee, and we're just chatting away and just having a laugh. And his daughter was videoing me, and then she sent it to me, like she was talking to me as she was videoing it. I didn't know she was videoing me, and then she sent it me. And when I looked at it, I thought, look at the size of you. Just sat there in a pair of shorts and a t-shirt, and I looked massive. And then it was, right, I'm really going to make an effort on this program. And now, like, I just feel so much better, and like you say, like, so much happier with where I'm at. And this is where I want to be, and this is where I'm going to be, because essentially you don't put any effort into it. It's a lifestyle change, and you just get on with the way. Basically, you've taught me different processes and procedures, and you put that into your lifestyle, and you just crack on with it. There's none of this, slimming world. There's none of this counting calories, and all that sort of crap. It's straightforward lifestyle choices, and it works.
And that's the thing, it's choices, isn't it? I never, and I try not to just tell you to go and do something. It's got to be your decision, and you've got to be happy with it. And, credit to you, you did get on with things. You always listened to everything. You always went and implemented the advice. If it didn't work, you came back, you'd say, look, that didn't really work. This is what didn't feel right. And then we adjusted it. And obviously now we've found something that works. So yeah, happy with that. And like I said, that's the key for me, is that sustainability, making sure this stuff lasts, rather than, like I say, the slimming world and all
Yeah,
that sort of stuff, that bit boom and bust, isn't it? It just,
definitely. Yeah.
okay. Well, look, Gary, appreciate the time, and hopefully anyone watching this has got a bit of an insight of sort of what goes on the inside, what that looks like, and hopefully gives them an idea of what it could look like for them. So yeah, thank you very much.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay,
Cheers,
mate.
Chris.
I'll see you
Thanks.
later.